Hi everyone, AI4QT. I'm in Marconi Room A here at the home QTH in Huntsville, Alabama, and a while back I did a article for our local DX club. It's referred to as the North Alabama DX Club, very original. But anyway, the article that I wrote was basically explaining how our service of amateur radio can branch out into real hobbies, so to speak. Now, I know a lot of people consider ham radio a hobby, and I guess in a way it is, but legally it's defined our radio service as that, a radio service, not as a hobby. There is a distinction between, the radio service of amateur radio and your classic hobby. For example, the collecting of QSL cards, for example, would be a hobby. Tinkering with radios, home brewing your radio equipment, yes, all that would be considered a hobby. But, when you press the talk button on your radio and start to communicate, that's technically and legally defined by the U.S. Federal Communications Commission as a service. But that's neither here nor there. But many years ago, after I got into amateur radio, I wanted to really immerse myself in this aspect of amateur radio. And so I developed an interest early on in Scripophily. And Scripophily is basically the study, the admiration of old stock certificates. And in my case, it's the collecting and studying of stock certificates that have a radio theme. For example, this is a stock certificate of the Marconi Wireless Telegraph Company. And of course, anyone with an interest in radio will know who Marconi was. But what's so interesting about this stock certificate is that it was issued, 1913. Now, the significance of this is that the year before this, 1912, the Titanic sunk. And I started to, really study, the Titanic disaster. But the, radio crew on the Titanic, they were actually employees of Marconi Radio and not of the White Star Line. Now, the White Star Line, they were the operator of the Titanic, but the radio room itself, and for that matter, for most ocean liners of the day, they had radio rooms that were contracted with Marconi, and Marconi would provide the radio operators on these ships. So, I just found this stock certificate very interesting because of the fact that it was issued the year after Titanic, and it was issued by a company established by Marconi himself. And there are a whole collection of stock certificates that have a radio theme. Here is the Admiral Corporation. Here's another one, AT&T. Well, and I have others here, but the interesting thing is, Scripophily is a word that has its origin in both English and Greek. Script refers to an ownership or a documentation, and philos, of course, is the love of, studying of these stock certificates. And the great thing about, if you really look at these certificates, there really are miniature works of art. They're embossed, many of them, and they tell a story, the vignette as they refer to them as. Here's one of Western Union. And of course, at one time, Western Union was the largest telegraph company in the world. And although the last telegraph, I believe, or telegram was transmitted back in 2007, Western Union is still existing, but it's a financial service today. Here's a stock certificate from Collins Radio Company. Now, if you've been in radio for any length of time, you will know who Collins Radio is. They have the reputation of building great radios, and especially avionics. And Collins Radio has gone through several reiterations through the years, and the last Collins Radio was probably manufactured back in the 1960s or early 1970s. But anyway, I found this interest in Scripophily, the study and collecting of these old certificates that have a radio or in general a electronic theme. If you're interested, by the way, of reading this article that I wrote for our local club, I have it posted in the link below. Anyway, that's it for today. This is AI4QT. Hope to catch you on the air. And 73.